Joel, thanks for calling in.
How are you guys today?
We are doing well. And, thinking about you and listening to your call yesterday with Troy down there in Arizona, I'm wondering, with the Arizona Cardinals, did you just watch the best team in the NFC, or was that the second best team in the NFC?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I think it's always, who did you last see? We saw Carolina a couple times over the past month, and I think if you had asked me after their game was over and we'd been talking on the Monday after that game, I would have said I just saw the best team. Now here I am in Phoenix, waiting on a breakfast burrito at the Phoenix airport, and I think I did see the best team in the NFC. I think they're a little more dynamic than Carolina, although I wouldn't bet against Cam Newton. I think he's unique and tough to stop, and the minute you stop everything on the outside, he just takes off and is like a freight train running through the middle of the field. But I think all in all, with the speed on defense, the speed on offense, the weapons on the outside, the running back who's a star waiting to happen in David Johnson, and Carson Palmer pulling the trigger, playing better than he ever has. Yeah, I think they're the best team in the NFC, and I would make the case they're the best team in the NFL. So, I'm leaving here, may be back here next week, don't know for sure. And at some point, I think I'll be back here during January.
Joe, I know it's always a combination of both, but did you feel like yesterday was more good Arizona or bad Green Bay?
Good Arizona. I just, obviously, we talked about it during the game. The offensive line for Green Bay has been nicked and hurt for the better part of the second half of the season. So once they lost Bakhtiari going in, their starting left tackle, that starts the shift going on and the filling in, and you get Barclay playing, then Bulaga goes out, then they're playing a first-year guy who just got worked. They couldn't hold up. And once the offensive line can't hold up, it doesn't matter who's calling the plays, it doesn't matter who's the one dropping back. It was a team that was smelling blood, and they just kept coming after Aaron Rodgers, and I thought wisely Mike McCarthy got him out of there to live to play next week and try and win the division at home against the Minnesota Vikings, which I do not think will be an easy game for the Green Bay Packers. That game's on NBC. I think it'll be a good test. And I love the way Bridgewater's coming on here in the back end of the year, and I think they're a handful too.
You think Vikings are a handful? Which one of those teams would you believe in more to make some noise in January? Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings, or with all the issues they have right now, Aaron Rodgers and his Packers?
Well, and I speak for Troy and probably most of the country, think that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL. He's the reigning MVP, two-time MVP, but once they lost Jordy Nelson, you wondered when it would catch up with them, and it's caught up with them. The teams have figured out a way to stop Randall Cobb, who is somewhere in the 80s with regard to receiving yards as far as NFL ranking, and Devontae Adams has had a ton of drops. James Jones is a nice complementary piece, but I just don't think Aaron Rodgers has enough around him. The running game is suspect. Eddie Lacy is heavy. He doesn't look right, and he's kind of hit or miss. So I think Minnesota would be the answer to the question. I mean, I think it has very little to do with Rodgers and a lot to do with no Jordy Nelson and a lot to do with an offensive line that, just can't get healthy. And, you guys see that. It's the teams that, especially up front, Arizona's in that category too. They can stay healthy with their offensive line. Carolina's been there for the most part this season as well. Those are the teams that have a chance to put together a good season and protect a quarterback and open up holes for a ground game. And that's what we're seeing with Arizona. And I know Khalil got nicked up. I didn't see the exact extent of it last night with Minnesota, but that could be a big loss there if he's out for a while.
Well, Joe, I think these are the words you've been waiting to hear. We're going to set you back to that burrito. We're going to let you free.
Well, yeah, it's taken a half hour, and I can't wait to dive into it head first.
Hey, best to Michelle from us. And
yeah, thank you. I'll tell her. She's standing right here.
Wherever you end up next week, have a good time on the call.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Joe Buck of Fox Sports, still at the Arizona airport. The glorious life.